good afternoon. Wherever you are, welcome to a Cosmic Cuppa with Jude, and we're on 5D and beyond. I'd also like to welcome our Centre for the Advancement of Humanity family and say a very warm welcome. And I especially want to extend the warmest welcome to my lovely friend Joshua Shapiro. So welcome, Joshua. How are you today?
Thank you, Judith Ann, for inviting me. And I have to admit, I haven't really had an opportunity before to speak to the extended family in New Zealand. So I want to thank you for the chance to do that. I've heard tremendous things about New Zealand, especially watching the movie Lord of the Rings, where they showed all these beautiful parts of your island. Or I don't know if you call it an island, but, you know, based in America, which is so huge that it could take us, 5 days, 6 days to drive all the way across from the West Coast to the East Coast. I would compare New Zealand to like the Netherlands, where, it's like 100 miles across. And like, in 2 hours, you're already across the whole country. And that's unthinkable for us here in America. So thank you. We're doing well here. We're in Florida. And of course, it's very warm here, but, we're close to the beach and, it's beautiful weather. And Florida is one of the states in the United States, I think, that's a little more not so much influenced by, the fake president that we have, which we all know he was not officially elected. So there's still a lot of that happening here. They're going after Trump like no tomorrow, all these cases that he's in, but it doesn't faze him, at all. And he knows that he's going to win. So I thought maybe he would be the Speaker of the House. But I thought the Republicans had decided their latest candidate, but I just read on Telegram, which is the best source of all the greatest information I've ever found, that they wouldn't get votes for him. So they're having a big trouble with that. So I think that's a sign. So that's a long way of saying I'm doing good and watching the madness in my country here.
There's certainly a lot going on right now, Joshua, and Trump could still be Speaker of the House. We just don't know. It's one of the anomalies that could flip the switch, which would be amazing.
Exactly.
In New Zealand, we have two main islands here,
right.
Very crazily called the North Island and the South Island. I'm sure they could have come up with some better names than that, but it's a little patch of paradise. Some people here call it the Pavlova paradise. And between Australia and New Zealand, we've always had the quizzing going on about who came up with the pavlova first, which is a sugary concoction, a meringue. And so we call it our little patch of pavlova paradise. So I'd love to welcome you here today. And first of all, I'd like to start by reading a little bit of your bio, if I may.
Okay.
So Joshua actually has many arrows to his bow, and not only speaks about crystal skulls, which is a huge passion, but I'll just start by reading what he says here, and then we can expand on that. So he's been involved with crystal skulls since 1983, when he saw one made out of amethyst in Northern California called Amy. He felt such a strong connection with this artifact that since that time, he has devoted his life and resources to sharing the best information he can about these crystalline artifacts with other people all over the world and the future role they will play to help our planet see world peace. He has had an opportunity to privately visit with a number of the well-known crystal skulls in the world, including the Michael Hedges Crystal Skull of Love, E.T., the British Museum Crystal Skull, Synergy, and Amy, amongst others. Since Katrina Head has entered in his life in the early spring of 2009, they have been working closely together and are known as the Crystal Skull Explorers, as well as having about 30 personal skulls they are guardians for. The explorers offer various crystal skull presentations lectures and workshops to the public, as well as a unique type of private consultation with their personal skulls that combine their individual, spiritual, and creative talents. Joshua is the author of various books, including his first book about the crystal skulls, entitled Mysteries of the Crystal Skulls Revealed, written jointly with Sandra Bowen and the late F.R. Nick Nocerino. This book was published in 1989, and there's also a Portuguese edition issued in Brazil in 1993. He has released various versions of his new book, Journeys of the Crystal Skull Explorers, since 2004 as an ebook and printed edition in 3 foreign languages in Europe. Then in 2011, his partner Katrina released the first book in a new series called Journeys of the Crystal Skull Explorers, the Travelogue series, with Travelogue 1, Mexico 2009, and then in late 2012 and early 2013, Travelogue 2, Search for the Blue Skull in Peru. Joshua has done numerous public talks and many online and radio interviews over the years, sharing and speaking about the crystal skulls. He has also participated in various TV shows and documentaries that delve into this subject. Most recently, he is concerned about the direction our world is going in and has been helping other people to know the truth of what is happening behind the scenes by sharing 9 free ebooks, which will be below this video, on a variety of subjects, and offers a special video series on the new Centre's Rumble channel. This is the Centre for the Advancement of Humanity. And he started in 2022, this centre, and the series is called 2023, the year the full truth begins to be revealed. So, Joshua, I'd like you to start, please, with the introduction that you would like to speak about before I ask my questions. So how would you like to start the ball rolling, my friend?
Okay, thank you, Judith Ann. I just asked Judith Ann if I could speak first so that the people watching this video, that you have a sensing where my answers are going to come from, because it's not just about crystal skulls. It has to do with special spiritual experiences I've had. In particular, there are 2, which is covered in one of my ebooks called Messages from Argus, where I was shown the future. I know what the future is going to look like. Part of the reason is because one of my spirit guides is me in that future and keeps sending me like visions about where we're headed. So I know absolutely what's going to be happening. Also, the coma experience I had in Las Vegas, which was in 1990, so about 30 some years ago, I went to a special meeting, and that's really where I was there to participate, to help our galactic family who loves us, that wants to help the Earth to see this peaceful future, but they have to respect our free will. They had various people who were in body under certain circumstances. In my case, it was a coma for 3 days, to come and participate and give feedback to them, because they don't live here. They don't understand how human beings are going to respond, because most likely the key event, I keep getting this, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the key event's going to be that our galactic brothers and sisters are going to do something of such a magnificent nature. It's literally going to wake up the world. And actually, there was a speaker on Telegram I was listening to said the same thing. If the you know who it was? It was Bashar, who's channeled by Daryl Anka. Bashar said by 2026, we will have full disclosure. And when the full disclosure comes, and I'm not sure if it's going to wait to 2026, but when that happens, everything on the earth and the way that we perceive life will be changed. So And also the other thing I just want to mention is who I am based on my, experiences going on faith, listening to my intuition, using discernment, all these things that we all must do now because they're lying to us everything through the major media right now. I discovered through early UFO contactee named George Hunt Williamson that the essence of my soul is what's called a galactic, God, how can I forget it? God, it's like this word I need to tell you is off the tip of my tongue and it just went away. Wanderer, sorry, galactic wanderer. George Hunt Williamson was an early UFO contactee in the 1950s. And I actually had one letter correspondence with him and one of his books, Other Tongues, Other Flesh, which was the one I read from the 1950s that talks about the Cosmic Wanderers. There was a publisher in New Mexico wanted to republish it, and I got to actually write the foreword for it. So I have a very strong connection. The galactic cosmic wanderers are souls who go from planet to help lift them into the light. So a lot of the people who feel affinity for being Star Nation, extraterrestrial, starseed, whatever, probably most of the people who are working for 5D come from those lineages, have actually a world that they come from. Probably most likely that world is in total peace, which is why for many star people, this world drives them crazy because we have so much variety, different religions, cultures, people fighting with each other. Why are they fighting with each other? We're all family. So all we have to do is say we agree to disagree. That's it. You have what you think is the truth, and I have we don't have to agree 100%. So the wanderers, though, I think come from a light universe. I don't seem to have a planet. I seem to have visited a lot of planets, which would be how I am as a traveler and wanderer. But so the answers to the questions that I'm going to give to Judith, or if I'm going to talk about current events, it's coming from these experiences, the knowledge of the future, listening to soul wisdom. And I don't expect that everyone who watches this interview is going to agree with everything. I'm just planting seeds. And if there's something you don't know about, well, that's why I have the free ebooks. So if I get into some of the controversial subjects, then there is a free ebook that you can read about it and see if it makes sense to you or not. Because that's what I do too. Some of the new subjects that I covered recently within the last 2 years, I had to do my own research and say, does this make sense? Because there was a period of time where I would have said, there's no way these things are true. What are you talking about? How could it be true? But it's because I believed what I was taught in school, and they're not teaching the truth in schools either, as far as I can see. And plus, there was some lady who channeled a message for me in 1984, which I didn't receive to 2022. Somebody sent it to me and said I would be seeing life in a completely different way. And so that's what happened to me, especially once COVID started in 2020. It's like everything's coming out now, but it's the light and the dark. And you have to be aware of both, because if you're not aware of the dark, then you'll give your power away. That's what we've been doing. Okay, so that's my brief introduction. I hope it made sense. It's all spontaneous. So
Thank you, Joshua. It was beautifully, beautifully introduced. Goodness, we have so much that's going on right now and so much to discuss today. When I first heard about you, when I originally read The Mysteries of the Crystal Skulls Revealed, I first heard about the crystal skulls when I read Lobsang Rampa in my 20s. He spoke about them and I fizzed up with excitement at the thought and the facts of what these antiquities held, how they held frequency. Was the consciousness within them? Was it from outside of them? How is it that different people had different layers of information from the same skull? But first of all, Joshua, if I may, I'd like to start to ask you, when did you realize there was more to meet the eye than the 3D world?
I first started my spiritual experiences I'm 68. It was in my 20s when I started. And I remember there were some older ladies who kept saying, how could you be so knowledgeable at like 22 or 24? You know, what's going on with you? Basically, it happened to me, believe this or not, as a young man going to bars to try to meet women. I started meeting people who had spiritual experiences. Okay. And I went, there's something about this. I got to find out. So I joined some local groups in Chicago. So that was my formative years when I lived in Chicago. That's where I was born. And I joined some local groups and started reading books and um, getting involved in different things and had some readings and so on. And so, it's like everything else. We have a divine moment of time when we start these kind of spiritual journeys. And then I think the next main thing that affected me is, let's see, I think it was, what was it, 1982, I think I went to California. Well, early 80s, let's say, because I can't remember, because the first book I wrote was in 83. So it could have been 1980, 81, early 80s. I went to California with a friend, used his car, and we drove. We had some weird UFO type things we were seeing in the sky, lights shining different colors at night and moving around. Then we visited an early UFO contactee in New Mexico. And then I went to California. My friend, he couldn't stay, so I stayed out there basically on faith for about 3 months. So I think that was also another key for me, was that when I went to, California, I also had access to all these people that were already on their spiritual path. So I was learning a lot of different things from there as well. So
It's amazing,
those,
isn't it, Sorry.
yeah,
I
no,
think it's
that was my
amazing.
beginning. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. It's amazing that we're kind of led on the inner path as we move through the outer journey. And there are these stones, stepping stones, that we go from one to the other. How we get from one to the other is the way we move forward. But those stepping stones are definitely, I believe, mapped out. It's so interesting. What I love is the ancient skulls, Joshua, that hold so much wisdom. They seem to interact with each person at the level of awareness that they are at. So, does this mean that they are operating from outside our space time continuum?
First, let me define what Judith's talking about by an ancient skull as defined within the crystal skull community. So we have a contemporary skull, which would be what modern carvers are making. We have an old skull that people say 100 to 1,000 years or 2,000. And then we have the ancient ones, which purportedly were very advanced crystal skulls made by advanced civilizations that existed in the past or were gifts from our galactic brothers and sisters, could be also, or could be from our galactic brothers and sisters that live underneath the earth, which is related to the possibility of hollow earth. So these ancient ones working with very advanced civilizations, if that's true, therefore their vibrational frequency will be extremely high. And some of them have been allowed to come out, like the Mitchell Hedges skull, which you referenced before, or me, which I showed an image from our book, which is amethyst. And what I've discovered is even with the newer skulls, too, that spirit or a living consciousness is working through these artifacts so they can have an interaction with us in different ways. And also too, because it's on a dimensional or spiritual level, then we say it's outside of our reality. So I think that we're having contact. But then I call it the voice. Okay, the voice is the one that gave me the message for the video series that you talked about in January. The voice just said to me that, all of us exist well, when we choose to be born on the earth, we exist in our physical body, but all the time we're existing in our spiritual body too at the same time. It's just that in order to work on this classroom, I have to call it a classroom. It's a very difficult classroom, especially right now. We're going through all kinds of insane things, but it's also a classroom where we have great challenges and great growths as a spirit. Because I heard someone say that when you go up into the higher levels, maybe it's a little bit boring up there because everything's so perfect and everything. There's no challenge. So the soul sometimes chooses to come to a classroom like that for challenges, even though we would think to ourselves consciously, for some of us, I don't think this way. I like being here and I like these challenges, that we were crazy to select it. But we're going to help to create world peace and so on. So anyway, what the voice was talking about is, regardless whether the skulls have a higher being or dimensional being that's talking to us, it's really talking to the spiritual aspect of ourselves. Because when I hear the skulls, it's always telepathic, and it's in my thinking voice too. So it's just this level of consciousness. You know, this is the true essence of who we are. So, a lot of times the intelligence in the skulls are going to use whatever is your spiritual gift. So my thinking voice, that's how I hear things, but it's not me. It's just, this thought comes in and I go, oh yeah, that sounds good. I like that. So it's kind of like that. So, but
Can I
go ahead.
can I ask you, please, what was the most amazing experience you've had with the crystal skull? And what do you believe they have to teach us in the current transformation of humanity, moving us from 3D to 5?
Okay. So the most amazing experience I had was with the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull. So let me tell you the scenario so you can see how this happened and everything. So in 2008, Indiana Jones came out. I happened to be in Brazil when it came out, so I watched it in the theater. So I didn't need the translation in Portuguese. I heard it in English, but the other people were seeing, in Portuguese subtitles. Um, so um, during the Indiana Jones film was the time when I had the most public interviews for Crystal Skulls. And one of the interviews was asked by the Sci-Fi Channel, which is a big deal here in the United States. I don't know if they air it in New Zealand or not, but they show all these sci-fi shows and everything. So the Sci-Fi Channel did a 2-hour documentary on the crystal skulls, and they contacted me, and I set up to do some research with the Mitchell Hedges skull and one of my skulls, which they did not report on the final version. And they also interviewed me, which they did not include in the final version, but I did get credit as a consultant. So, but anyway, after we did all these things with the Mitchell Hedges skull for the Sci-Fi Channel, Bill Holman, who is the guardian of this crystal skull, I said, Bill, would it be possible for me to come back and have a private session with the skull at a later time? And he said, yeah, no problem. So I came back with a friend because again, I had moved from Holland to Chicago around this time also, and I was restarting my life. And so in the meditation that I had with the skull was like 2 phases. Okay. Now, of all the crystal skulls that I've personally seen so far, okay, and I say so far because there's probably hundreds and thousands more that haven't come out yet in my sensing. This is the one that I felt the strongest affinity for that's in our world. Okay, the blue skull that you mentioned in one of my books is one that I've only seen spiritually, even though it's around me all the time. But, it's not here in the physical right now. So I just have to say, I haven't physically seen it, but I'm in contact with that one. But this one in the physical. So the first part, I had my little MP3 player, and I'm listening to different music, and I'm doing it spontaneously because some psychic said if I wasn't a writer and speaker, I would have been a musician. So I know I was a musician in the past. So, and I think I had a famous father in one lifetime too, who was a great musician. So he's kind of behind me sometimes, helping me with music. But so anyway, so I'm doing my meditation and I'm listening to these songs. And the first part of this meditation with the Mitchell Head is go. This is in the home of Bill Holman in Indiana. I feel like I'm in heaven. Everything is so peaceful and calm. Now, being in Aries, it's not normal. I can do a meditation for a long time because it's too boring for me. It's like, oh, I got all these other exciting projects, so I'll do the meditation for a little while and move on. But I could have sat there for forever probably because it felt like what it might be in heaven. It was so peaceful and calm. I'm just sitting there relaxing. But then everything shifted. And all of a sudden now it looks like reversed here, what I'm doing, but my right arm, so think reversed of what you're seeing, my right arm in my right direction, in the corner of the room, I'm sensing that there is some type of intelligence there. Okay, because my first gift is I'm sensitive to energy. Like when we do these private sessions you talk about, I just feel what it's like to be the other person, and this activates, sensing about what's going on with them, or it brings in messages because of that frequency. So I'm experiencing the frequency off the right side with these galactic beings. And, it's absolutely amazing. It's like they know everything there is to know about me. And all I can tell you is, because I still don't understand who it was like a group consciousness. It wasn't one being. It's like a group consciousness. Felt like the Mitchell Head skull opened up a dimensional door so that they could be present. What I felt is after I had that session and those beings showed up, that I became much more calm and peaceful and in the neutral. Okay, it's like it just shifted my vibration. So there's very few things that bother me or trouble me. Like, let's take, for example, this war that's going on in Israel. It's driving a lot of people crazy right now. People are going on one side or another. We'll come back to it. I'm just using that as an example where I'm looking at it from a more calm and peaceful way. And it's very obvious to me, and also especially what they've been saying on Telegram, exactly what's going on there. It's not what they're saying is going on. So just to be more peaceful and calm. And as a matter of fact, I was told before I did this session that this was one of the most important messages to share with your 5D group. Is we're probably all asking right now, the world's going crazy. What can I do as one individual? And what Spirit told me to say, and they said this to me before, is it's up to us, each of us, because we are so powerful. We are divine children of God, to keep our vision, our emotions, to be in a state of peace and calm, because we know it is God's will that we are moving towards this amazing world beyond anything that we can even imagine. It's going to be so fantastic. Okay. And we don't need to know the steps of how we're going to get there exactly. But the thing is the light workers, those who are on their spiritual path, we have to hold the positive vibration, because this is the key of what's happening on this world. Because we're in free will, this world is based on free will. The collective thoughts of all of humanity create the reality that's here. But what happens if the people who think they are in charge are the ones deciding what we learn in school, what we see on TV, what we see in our movies, what is our medicine and everything, and they do everything to prevent us from knowing who we truly are and what kind of amazing world we live on. They feed off of that energy of a false reality. So therefore, as the light workers, we need to be peaceful and calm and do the things like every day, do one thing that puts a smile on your face that you love to do, just to stay in a positive light. Okay. Because for our friends and family, a lot of them are looking at what's going on. There's going to be a world war around this thing in Israel, they're thinking, or are they going to start using nuclear weapons or all that? It is not God's will that any of that is going to happen. Okay. But what is the media going to do? It's going to try to produce this fear because they take that energy and do it. So we have to create what we know is the truth. Now, sometimes, a person is very set in their ways and you're not allowed to force them. So I always say, do I have permission to tell something, that I believe? If they say no, don't feel offended because their soul's just saying, no, I'm not ready to hear what you have to say. Okay. So this is the reason why what can I do as a 68-year-old individual who's not making so much money? I have a big mouth. I'll write ebooks. I'll go on interviews. I'll, say something on my Facebook page, bring in some good stuff in Telegram, do these videos. I've done 7 videos on that series you mentioned. It's hard for me to believe. And each of those videos is like an hour and a half. What am I talking about for 10 hours? But it's all like keys about, what's happening, that I'm being guided. And then Bashar also said, when I saw him, and I agree with this 100%, we have to honor who we are, love ourselves, do the best we can. And even if there's people who don't like what we're doing or are critical, I agree to disagree. Thank you for your comment. You don't have to go to war. You don't have to have argument. Well, let's just agree to disagree, move on and do the things, because what's going to happen, as we were talking about before we recorded, is once all these good things start happening and the truth starts coming out and many people we know are in shock, who are they going to come to for consultation and to be more at peace and calm? They're going to come to us because we're going to explain everything to them. So I don't know how I got off on this tangent, but this was part of what Spirit told me I was supposed to talk about. So it just showed up now. Okay,
It's all
back to your...
It's all perfect. Thank you, Joshua. It's all
You're
perfect.
welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, I know you have a beautiful crystal skull called Porta de Luz.
Yes.
Do you have Porta de Luz with you that we could see, please?
He's up there. I have to get him. Okay,
hold on. Is that okay?
So this is the problem because I'm using the background. I have to make sure that it doesn't make the skull disappear. It's not a miraculous thing. It's because I have that special background from Zoom. So this is Portal de Luz. He's 10-pound smoky quartz skull. And my hands is shaking. I'll bring him back one more time. I'll bring him back one more time. He says, leave me here, Dad. Leave me here, Dad. I want to
that's the lovely.
People to see him.
Thank you.
He calls me Dad.
One of the things I...
Go ahead. You're the host.
One of the things I'm very intrigued about with the crystal skulls, and I've had quite a bit to do with them myself energetically and with transmission. When I first heard about the skulls, I thought, I don't really like skulls. They're not really, it's like skull and crossbone, daggers, pirates type thing. Until I realized that if beings from other places, interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, inner earth, whoever, wanted to leave information for anyone, what form would they put it in? So we know that crystals hold frequency. It's been used in technology for quite some time. And as we know in our past, our stories of Atlantis, they blew up the mighty crystal that had so much power. It powered everything, powered the whole civilization. And so crystals play a huge part in technology. So where would these beings put information? It would certainly work through crystal. So what form would they put it in? It would make sense to put it into a brain or a head. And so that was in my early 20s. I became fascinated with the thought that some of these skulls hold amazing energies or have energies working through them. So, Joshua, what were you going to say?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just keep asking your question.
Okay. So, yeah, I have found crystal skulls to be an extremely interesting topic. And I do believe that there will come a time when some of them will be brought together and they will certainly activate in our future times. Not too far away, I think. So
Yeah,
Joshua,
I
if I
agree.
can divert, please. You're the co-founder for the Centre for the Advancement of Humanity, in which I'm privileged to be a part, as well as my daughter Karen, and I think Leah's too. Could you speak about the mission statement of this centre and the unfoldments you would like to see happen with this enterprise? Because it's huge.
Well, I don't know if we have a mission statement yet, but its name implies that we're going to study and share information on as many levels as we can that relate to the advancement of humanity, which I would say the key to it will be that it'll be spiritually based. Everything we do will be spiritually based or spiritually motivated. And the vision of the center actually came, I think it was in, I don't know why I'm thinking, I think it was 2018 or 2019. I was with some people. We had moved to Atlanta and we were talking about coming together with the center. And one of the persons supposedly had contact with people who had some wealth. Of course, it didn't happen. But what it did is I, as the writer, got inspired the next morning to sit down and write what would that center be, because I was asked, well, what does it look like and everything. So it basically started on that day, and then in 2022 I started feeling on, let's see, on this side was a Pleiadian and this side was an Arcturian, and they were saying, Joshua, we want you to actually announce this center. And I go, what, are you crazy? How can I announce something that doesn't exist yet? And they said, you don't have to have a physical center because that's the ultimate goal. Like here in Florida somewhere, I feel like there's a building that's waiting that will become the first physical center. It'll have multiple floors and they're all going to be part of the center. And then we'll set up other centers all over the world. So they just said, well, just do it online then. So, I created a Telegram channel and a Rumble channel basically. And then there were a bunch of people who said, well, we'll hold the energy for the center. We don't need to know either when it's going to start, but we'll just kind of hold the energy for it. So when it begins, it'll be like a catalyst. Well, the center will already be started. And I know that the center, like many other centers that have yet to be formed, are going to happen as the new financial system starts officially coming out. And we're getting extremely close to this. Okay, I brought on Gene Decode, who's one of the greatest whistleblowers. I've spoken to him 5 times now. So I asked him about that just to see if he would confirm there are the new financial systems. And then as soon as I asked him, what evidence do we have of it? He said BRICS, which a lot of people have not heard of this. There are 5 countries who decided they don't want anything to do with the American dollar because the American dollar is run by, I would say, the elite. They want to have their own currencies that they trade in. So this was Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So these 5 countries came together, I don't remember how many years ago it was, decided they would start trading with each other. And then they had this big meeting, I think it was in August, where 6 more countries joined. And what I see is very interesting is none of the countries which are part of BRICS is related to what we call the Western part of the world, which would be United States, Canada, and Europe. Now, Mexico wants to join, I understand, and Brazil is in South America, so there are probably other countries, but it's like all these countries, what they would be doing and what they're already doing, like China and Russia, I know for sure are doing this. I suspect India may be doing this as well, is their currencies are backed by precious metals. Okay, and this is the whole part of the new financial system. So, like, for example, they're talking about for the US Treasury note, which would be the rainbow currency we will have in the United States, which I've actually seen what it looks like on Telegram, it would be backed by gold. And I think the Russian ruble is already backed by gold. And Zimbabwe, I think, has a gold coin they're getting ready to share too. So so what Genie Code was saying, which I was familiar with, is this movement by these countries is totally creating this new currency. So when that happens, when all the money that has been stolen from we the people is returned to we the people, then we can take those funds and start building all these great centers and organizations and really make our world so wonderful. And there are advanced technologies that have been hidden from us. So what I see for our center is basically holding the energy, sharing key information through the Telegram channel, sometimes through Facebook. We have a little mailing list, also the Rumble videos. And then eventually when the new financial system comes, or maybe some of the cryptocurrency that's supposed to be part of that new financial system, which I've been holding on to, that I've been told will also be backed by gold and silver, the two coins that I'm holding, and they're going to be a very key part of this, because you have to understand when the new financial system comes, yes, there will be physical currency, but eventually it will disappear and be totally digital, but it won't be the digital system which the elite want to do, which is where they'll know everything about all the money that you have and be able to shut it off. This will be through a computer they call the quantum financial system that is unbreakable and unhackable and was a gift from our galactic brothers and sisters. So in other words, what they're saying, this could be possible when we get the new computers and phones where we log into our system, it's going to recognize us by our DNA. So if you try to log into your bank account and it's not you, you will not get in. There's nothing that you can do about it. That's how advanced it's supposed to be. So that's kind of our center. Now, there's two aspects of our center that I think will make us different, because there are going to be a lot of spiritual centers getting started and healing centers and everything. And it'll probably be the crystal skulls, the work that we'll be doing with them. But also, I keep having visions, especially since I have these two galactic beings around us. And one of them tells me she knew me when I was in Atlantis, right? Yeah. Which there was a lady who could draw spirits, and she held one of our crystal skulls. We have a very large rose quartz skull called Rosalita. If you go to our website, there's a picture of her on our website. I can't hold her because she's two pieces. She's too heavy. So we had Rosalita sitting out, and she drew this Arcturian being. And so I found out through a medium several days later, I got very emotional about this. So usually when you get emotional, and I'm very calm, I usually, I'm one of those typical male guys who doesn't cry, or if I do, I don't let you see me doing it, but when I was told this, I got very emotional. That during Atlantis, it was like a sister, but she was Arcturian. So I feel like she's, one of my guides, and the Arcturians are very much for the center. They say to me, not only that they're going to give us their wisdom and their knowledge, which is going to be unbelievable, but we're going to do events together where they're going to be standing with us. It's not just going to be a human, it's going to be a galactic and a human working together. Because our children in the future, okay, they're not going to think anything about this. They're going to go, this is perfectly natural. Of course, we have brothers and sisters from other worlds. Now, I'm going to say one other thing about this, because I got to throw in some crazy stuff, that's just me. What if, now think about this, okay? Now, this has to do with the geocentric theory of the Earth. What if there's this ice wall at the edge with a dome, and the dome is talked about supposedly in the Bible as the firmament, but on the other side of that dome is more land with more people? Could it be that the extraterrestrials are extraterritorial from our world? They're not from other worlds. They're from outside the dome. So I'm thinking that's probably true as well. So anyway, that's a little bit about our center, what I hope to do. Now, one other thing I just heard to share is, like, let's say somebody has a project, like they want to write a book, or they want to do music or whatever it is, do a video or whatever, that's going to be part of what we're going to help with too, because we're going to have tremendous resources. And we're going to say, well, we have a committee and we listen to all the projects people want to do. And if we really like what you have to say, we'll give you all the tools you need. So in other words, all the resources, the money to do it. If you're a writer, you need an editor. If you need, like, a lot of times I write, but it's just me. I can't afford an editor. So you'll get the editor, you'll get people to do pictures, because I think you should have pictures in books too. Shouldn't just be text. So like when I write, I actually did a story with a friend in England, and we had pictures. I had some people help me with some drawings. You get everything, and then we'll even promote the book for you, and we'll even set up your whole tour to talk about what you're going to do. I'm telling you, when people come in our center, they're not going to want to leave, because we're going to have so much fun stuff going on. But it's because this is what our future is going to be. If you ever felt like, I want to dance and sing in the street, this is the future that my future self is showing. Okay. You don't worry about what other people think about you. And so, like, I already have a ritual in mind for all the people working in our center. We're going to square dance together for each day. We're going to play music and square dance and get into the right vibrational frequency. And then we'll start helping all the people. So anything, Spirit said this to me, anything that we can imagine, we can only imagine it because it already exists somewhere in God's infinite universe. So I'm already walking in the center. I already see it. And I also know too, they're going to kick me out and say, look, you need to be out there traveling and sharing your information and setting up more things. We have it handled here. You don't need to worry. Okay. So I just see, doing the Aries thing, get it started. And then come to New Zealand and work with you guys to get your center started, and do some special events and everything. And then the special crystal skulls we have, we'll just say to all the people in the center, okay, who wants to have this one come to, like, New Zealand or England or wherever? And we just set up a team. And I also saw indigenous elders traveling with the crystal skulls too. So we would do sacred ceremonies and things like that, because there's been a couple of crystal skull conferences where we had indigenous elders there too. So that's very interesting. But also too, I want to connect more with the Maori and the original people. When I was in Australia, I was told they're not the Aborigines, they're the original people. That's what they like to be called. So, to work with the grandmothers and grandfathers there. So it's going to be amazing, this future. So this is what I was saying in the beginning. We have to visualize, all of us, this amazing future that's coming, and let that positive energy go out. And when we talk to people, and if people are getting down because they're listening to the false news and all that, try to find a way to cheer them. Let Spirit speak through you. Okay. See, I know absolutely that this beautiful world is coming. Nobody can convince me otherwise. I see it in my mind's eye. I saw it when I was at that meeting. They showed me the future. But then they said to me, now look, you can't remember everything we showed you, but as things come up in the world, you will know the truth, what's true and what's not true. Oh yeah, and I forgot at the beginning to say, in 2020, when the COVID started, I'm on a roll now, I'm just going with this. In 2020 started, I remember I was sitting by my computer. We kind of had like a sunroom where I was situated, and I was saying to whoever was listening, I want to know the truth. I want to know what's really going on. And because I did that, all of a sudden, these people on Facebook were sharing videos with me. Then I got on Telegram, and it's just like so much information is coming out right now. And it's every day I'm going on Telegram looking for, kind of like what's going on. Okay, so would it be of interest to your people? Then I'm going to turn it back to a question, just briefly to talk about what's happening in Israel from what two people said that were part of the Israeli Defense Force who are not members anymore. Okay, so you
Yes, of
understand what's happening.
course.
Okay.
Yes, of course, Joshua. And then I had something I would like to speak about the undeclared
Okay.
war we're in right now, but please
Yeah.
go ahead and then I will ask that question. Go for it.
Okay, so the major media does not cover this in any way, but it's being covered on Telegram all over the place. The two people that I listened to in the video from the Israeli Defense Force both said the same thing. It is absolutely impossible with the advanced system of detection that they have all around the country. And then Michael Jaco, I think he talked about this too in another video, that people in pickup trucks and gliders could breach their security. Absolutely impossible. Somebody said the Israeli government gave a 7-hour period for them to come in and pillage and kill their citizens. Now, think about this. Why would they do this? Because they wanted to emotionally upset people all over the world. Like here in the United States, we're pro-Israeli, okay? But the key we have to understand is innocent people, Israeli and Palestinian, are being killed. And the people who initiated this war do not care whatsoever who has to be harmed. They have other purposes. Now, on Telegram, they also said Israel will be last. So I'm thinking that this may be the last major war. Other people said that the West and the United States, they lost in the Ukraine. The Ukraine war is basically over. So they had to start another war to make their money or whatever. So they went to Israel. But I think what's going to happen is, because there's a lot of corruption in the Israeli government. Again, you haven't heard this on the media, but hundreds of thousands of Israelis have been protesting their prime minister. He's trying to change their constitution. Okay, so Israelis were coming out. So there's a very good potential that out of the war, what may come, because remember, there are forces of light, which they call white hats or the alliance. That's the name for human beings who are working to create the peaceful earth, but they're also working with our galactic brothers and sisters. God, what's the name of this whistleblower? Carrie Cassidy once said, when she was interviewed with Gene Decode, she said that the negative extraterrestrials have interfered in the natural evolution of our planet, and this is not going to be allowed anymore. And I know from the meeting that I went to, it is God's will. This planet is going to be healed. But the key to all of this is that if we give permission or we do not stand up for these crazy things that are going on, and there's so many things, it's because for the elite, they're not holding back anymore. They don't care anymore. They're just showing you everything. Okay. And most people, they expect people are just going to accept what they tell them. But if it's a divine law, they have to tell us what they're going to do. And if we say no, we refuse, like they're trying to bring back the jab and all that. If we say no, we refuse, we're not doing this, forget it. By divine will, they have to back down, and they know that Prime Creator, and I saw a document that they wrote where they named Prime Creator, and I was very surprised that they would acknowledge this, but they acknowledge that there is something that creates everything. The law of Prime Creator is, if the people say no and they're not willing, you lose everything. And that's what they're in the process of happening. So it's possible through Israel, even though, and this happens every time they create these wars, they always have people who suffer and killed and whatever to get people's emotion. It's very possible through this war, the full truth of who's really running Israel and what's going on there is going to be revealed, because the Rothschilds basically created Israel back in 1948 through the Zionist movement. And I also listened to kind of like a rabbi from Israel said, look, in the Bible, it never talked about displacing the Palestinians and creating the state of Israel. And, you know, the Jews, we didn't do this. It was the Zionists who set up Israel. So there's a lot of truth that's going to come up. So I'm just mentioning this to not get caught up in this hysteria and emotions that's going on. Are you for the Palestinians? Are you for Israelis? I'm for both. It's the people that are being affected by this, okay? And it's false flag. And it's the same thing like what happened in Hawaii. They know that it was a direct energy weapon that caused that fire there in Maui. And, you know, I've seen a lot of video of that too. So they keep trying to do this, but it's coming to an end very soon. And again, I think one of the keys is going to be the galactics are going to show up and do something, and it will just start a new path. Now, the message I got in January of this year is that the full truth would start to be revealed, and I think that really a lot of this is coming out now. But I thought before the end of this year that maybe this important event would come that would shake everybody up and start taking us. But I'm not sure if it'll be before the end of the year. It could take us into next year. There's this lady who keeps talking about here, the United States, that Trump will be president, but he won't be elected in November of 24. Something else may come up for this. So seems to me the key is if the new financial system starts coming out, then you know it's over. Or if the emergency broadcast system, like we had one on October 4th for like less than a minute, where all the phones were ringing here in the United States, if that comes up, then you know that it's over. But the bottom line is this earth has an amazing future going forward. And we just, each of us have to do whatever we can, staying calm, peaceful, do things, you know, that you enjoy, and just help whoever you can. I mean, not all our family and friends want to listen to what we have to say. They're not going to believe us. Or like my father always said, when I told him my experiences, I want proof. I want proof. Sometimes you can't give people proof about what, you know, is going on. So anyway.
I think you can only prove to yourself. You can never prove to anyone else. Joshua, I actually have agreed myself with everything you've said. Thank you for bringing out those truths. Most of us, if not all of us here on this platform, do our own research. I've done thousands of hours of research like yourself.
Yeah.
And I agree with everything you have said. And I listened to Michael Jaco and a lot of other truthers, and it's all coming out. One of the things I'm finding disconcerting at the moment is the truth bombs, which is good, are coming thick and fast in the midst of an undeclared war. The WHO wants to take total control over our sovereignty, our human rights, every aspect of our lives through the pandemic treaty and the new health regulations, removing our ability to choose for ourselves how our lives should be in freedom, health and truth. Yet it's not being aired with the public or talked about at government level, open to disclosure to the people. This will be devastating if these constraints go ahead, because we will have no freedoms. How do you see this unfolding? Because this could be all signed off next year and be implemented in 2025. This is global.
Right. I would say that based on, again, what I'm seeing on Telegram with the videos that people are taking of hundreds of thousands of millions of people all over the world protesting all these crazy things going on, I don't think that it can be executed without people supporting it. Like, let's take, for example, what happened with COVID and the jabs. So they did everything possible, having celebrities go on and doctors and all this to try to encourage people to take this. And those of us who were spiritually aware, we knew this is pure poison, and we refused to take it. Well, now I think that people have woken up. A lot of people have woken up, and even though these are their plans, and they have to tell you, like I said, according to again, I don't know, it's being 68. There's another whistleblower, David, and I keep forgetting his last name, very well known. He was the reincarnation.
Is it David Wilcock?
Yeah, David Wilcox. Okay, David Wilcox talked to people from the elite or the cabal, and they said they have to follow this law. They have to tell you first what they're going to do. Okay, so even if the WHO says, okay, this is our plan and everything, people are fed up with the WHO, and there are politicians in the United States I've actually seen said, we want the United States no longer to be a member of the WHO. So I think that these things are not going to happen. See, what you have to understand is the elite have been doing these things behind the scenes, but they've been doing them slowly. Okay, so people haven't really noticed it so much unless you were personally affected. You know, if you're one of the children or families or whatever that were affected by what they were doing, which I don't want to talk about because it's pretty horrific what's coming out about this. And this is part of the truth that's really going to shock a lot of people also. So I don't think with all the people protesting and people waking up, plus what the White Hats and the Alliance are going to do, that these plans that the WHO has or any of the other so-called official organizations to do with health and these rules, it's not going to happen. It's going to be stopped and prevented. Like I give you another example. There's a hacker group called Anonymous. And one of the things that has happened here in the United States, we have a group called SEC, which I don't remember, Security and Exchange or something like that. And what they've been doing is going after the people who created one of the cryptocurrencies, which is for the new financial system. Or I shouldn't call it crypto, digital. Okay, crypto is like death. Digital is, it's a digital currency. And the hackers went after them and said, if you don't release this and let this go, we're going to take down your president. We're going to give all the filth and put it out on the news and everything. So I think the same thing could happen to people in the WHO. They have methods and techniques that if they really start doing some things that they can be fought, because the key is like here in the United States, they allowed Biden to become president so there wouldn't be a civil war. Okay, but now we've had 3 years of Biden who's done absolutely nothing for any Americans, letting all these people come in the southern border, shut down everything. Okay, I've even seen videos where whoever's playing them has the mask that's on. Okay, so it's like these truths are coming out. So I would not be concerned about this, or if they try to initiate, let's say, the jabs again or the mask or whatever, say no. We will not comply. We will not follow it. And if enough people say no, these people have no power. It's gone. It's over. So, but at
Thank
the
you,
same
Josh.
time, we're saying no, we're having a vision of a positive future. We have a positive attitude. We're looking forward to great things that are happening. We're telling jokes. We're being funny. We're expressing our joy, you know. So there are millions and millions of light workers on this planet. If we all start doing it, it's a geometric multiple of that power. Okay. So,
Absolutely. Thank you
and
so
plus,
much.
right.
Thank you. Joshua, I would love to bring it back to the personal, if I may. And could I ask you about your coma experience and the experiences you had? You mentioned two previously that most affected you in your awakening. And could you speak about Argus, if you may, please?
Okay. So the
Thank
first
you.
experience is a coma experience, and the second is when Argus shows up. So I'll talk about both.
Thank
So
you.
the coma experience happened. I had moved from California to Las Vegas on New Year's Eve of 1989, 1990, and I started a nonprofit spiritual group there. And I remember there was one day, I think it was in the spring, I'm walking down one of the main streets, and in Las Vegas, they drive 50, 60 miles down their main streets. Okay. And I hear a loud screech behind me. I'm going to McDonald's, which I shouldn't have done because it's not good food for you. But again, this is 1990. And I hear a loud screech and I'm kind of fearless. I feel like I'm protected. And the next thing I know is my vision goes from light to dark. Okay. I wake up 2 days later. So I'll tell you on the earth level what happens first and then what I remember. So I wake up 2 days later and there's this doctor and I feel myself strapped down to a bed. And he's saying, do you remember the truck that hit you? And I'm going, what is he talking? Because I was taken out of my body, I have no awareness that something happened to me. Okay. So I don't know what he's talking about. Then I lose consciousness. Then I come back and I learn, when I come back, a van struck me. It jumped the curb, hit me from behind. As far as I know, I flew up into the air. There was a gravel area I fell in. And when I went back to the area, there was a metal light post that was bent. by the van that hit me. Now, what I know from this is if I was looking and saw this van coming to hit me, I probably either would be dead or I would have an injury that would greatly affect me for the rest of my life. So by having my back turned, my subconscious was not involved in the least of what was happening. So I figured this was a pre-planned event before I was born. So, and then I remember too, after I had this accident, I went to Brazil and I spoke in front of the largest audience I've ever spoken to, probably 5,000 or 6,000 people, talking about crystal skulls and UFOs. And I remember that I still was weak energy. Like I could go during the day after this, till like 1 or 2 o'clock, and then I would have to rest. And I did have a sprain on my ankle, and my shoulders were also sore. Okay, but there wasn't anything serious. Okay, so I had to have some protection for this. So after some time, I start having some memories. Now these are visions in my mind, so I can't prove if this is true or not, but it won't leave me. So I just have to accept this is what happened to me. So what I see is I see myself, like if you saw not the first Star Wars movie that came out, but in the series where Princess Amidala goes to the main planet of the Republic, which became the Empire. She talks in front of all the people from all the different worlds. My planet's being invaded. That's where I was at. I was at a meeting like that where I see all these beings from different places, and the subject is our world. And they're asking this question: how can we help our brothers and sisters on the earth? Okay. And I don't believe I was the only human that agreed to come. I think there were other humans that were there. Now, it wasn't in my physical body, obviously, because that's sitting in the hospital, and it got strapped down because some spirit wandering soul saw, hey, there's an empty body. I'll go into that, start doing crazy stuff. So I don't have any memory of that either because I wasn't there. So what was being presented was what future scenarios that were going to go on in our world. And I think that I saw our future. Okay. And then I remember after that meeting, of course, they would ask us, the humans that were there, if we do this, how are humans going to respond? That's what I think my role was. Plus, also, I think they wanted to show me the future. So when this period of time started happening, because really since the pandemic, things are going crazy in our world. Okay. The light and the dark is both coming out here. It's like every day something new. So I remember when I was getting ready to come back to the earth, there was a door in front of me. It was black on the other side. I didn't know where I'm going. I just knew if I went through the door, I would go back to the earth, back home. And there was a man. I don't know what form I just know it was a masculine being. And somebody I knew, I think on a soul level too. And I said, don't do this to me. Don't make me forget. I saw so much amazing stuff. I could tell everybody about all these great things. And he said, no, I'm sorry, I can't remember. However, I will tell you, as things start happening, you'll know what's true and what's not true. So when COVID started, I know, nope, they're not telling us the truth, the vaccines, this war in Israel. I talked with Jeannie Code about the Ukraine. They're not telling us the truth about that. So pretty much you can't believe anything the media tells you, you know. So that was that experience that I had. So that means I saw the future that we're moving toward. And that's why I can say I know that we're going to have a totally peaceful planet. We're going to be a member of the Galactic Federation or whatever it's called. We're going to get to go visit their worlds as well. We're going to learn, the true history of the Earth, everything. They already have records on everything. We'll find out about the giants, which they're finding the bones. It's just absolutely amazing stuff that we're going to learn. So that's that experience. Now, the second experience is with Argus, who is me in our future, 2037 to 2040. And this is the name I go by, which actually comes from 4 letters of my names now. Richard Joshua, Illinois. I was born in Chicago, so that's Illinois Shapiro. So that's where Argus comes from. So he just keeps saying, well, in the future, you'll decide to change it. And I say, great, tell me everything about how I go from here to become you. Sorry, I can't tell you nothing. It would change who I am. So I can't tell you. All I can tell you is I could show you the world of the future, but I can't tell you how you get there because that's your experience. You have to go through your experiences, but everything will be great. Don't worry about it. So Argus shows up to me one day again. It's basically the same area I was talking about where I got the message about I want to know the truth, and I got an answer there. It's like, I don't know, it must have been this area where I worked just had this energy that anytime I went into it, I started hearing messages. So I feel, so with Argus, I feel him around me and I go, who are you? Why are you showing up? You know, I told you I feel energy, so I can spirit. He says, I'm you. What are you talking about, you or me? I'm you in your future. Really? So the only way I can explain this is on the soul level, there is no time and there is no space. So we can, like, for example, I have memories of past lives on the earth. I know some of the people that I've been, and it makes sense because I have those gifts or talents now. So where did they come from? Came from these other lifetimes where I practiced. So it's the same thing with the future, is the future me can tell me. So he's saying, so what he tells me is, I'm in 2037 to 2040. Now it's not going to take to 2037 till you start seeing peace, but by that time, everything will be, like unbelievable. Okay, because it's going to take you a number of years for humanity to adopt to a new financial system, new technologies, having contacts with galactics, all kinds of beings, learning the truth about your world, the history, all this stuff. It's going to take a period of time. We can't just throw it all at you at one shot and expect everyone to believe in and accept it. It's going to take some time. You're going to have more spiritual gifts happening. So, so that's what he told me. So because of the meeting and Argus, that's all I can see is this future. And, I'm constantly listening to what I call the voice. What else does my big mouth need to say when I get to do these interviews, or I write something on, wherever I write, whatever, because I feel my role is to be a catalyst. Okay. Um, I don't expect everyone's going to like me. Even in the crystal skull world, there are people who don't like me. It's because I listen to what the skulls told me. I'm not so much interested in, you know, um, everybody come and just listen to my information. No, I have some information, and Judith's had some contact with skulls, and I know Karen has had some things with skulls we've talked about. So we all have pieces of the puzzle. So, I just put out the best information and let people decide, and that's really all we can do. So those are my two key experiences. Now, the free ebook I have called Messages from Argus talks about those two experiences, but also Argus showed up when I was in Brazil one time and start writing what his future was like. I didn't understand this, uh, because what happens to me when I go to Brazil, all my gifts get heightened. It's a very powerful energy there. So Argus showed up. I didn't know, is this a story? I don't know what it is, but I put that in the book too. And I wrote that back in the 1990s or something. It came through, or early 2000. So I just put it all in that book. But all these ebooks are on different subjects that I think are going to be important for our future, whether it's crystal skulls. Tartaria is very important. If you look, you're going to find buildings in New Zealand that are from Tartaria. Tartaria is our
Oh,
proof.
oh
Tartaria is our proof
yes.
that we're going to this peaceful world, because we're going to get all their technologies back. Um,
I have
and
interviewed a very interesting lady in New Zealand that spoke on Tartaria, and it's fascinating. The
yeah,
building I first worked in when I left school was the old government building here in Christchurch, and it's
yeah,
definitely Tartarian.
yeah,
Extremely interesting.
right.
So
So
you had so many amazing videos.
yeah,
2023, the year the full truth begins to be revealed. You've got so many that I've got down here in bits and pieces that are
yeah. So
fascinating. Tartaria.
yeah, so that's on the center's video channel. If you go there, again, I don't know what information will be shared outside of this video, so the best way to contact me is through my email, crystalskullexplorers@gmail.com. I can give you direct links to all the free ebooks, direct link to 3 video channels we have. One is Crystal Skulls, one is Flat Earth, and one is For the Center. And each one has different ones. Sometimes I get to interview interesting people like Gene Decode, so you can hear what he has to say. He's had some amazing experience. He said he was in front of God and he got sent back, that he's actually experienced other parallel Earths where the Earth is totally destroyed and then got moved to this one. And very early on, he talked to me about that. This will be a positive Earth eventually. So
which is
someone,
brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
yep.
Some of the other ebooks Joshua has got is Are We Living in a Computer Simulation? Messages from Argus, Tartaria, Flat Earth, The Year the Full Truth Begins to Be Revealed, 2023.
Right, so that one is kind of extension of the video series.
Yeah, which is fascinating. Could you please speak about, Joshua, your understanding of interdimensional and extraterrestrial beings? We know some of these beings have been here a long time, some longer than we have in our present Adamic bodies. We know there are beings walking among us from other places. Of late, the governments have decided to make it public to a degree to open awareness. I wonder how much will be shared by the governments to the people. Do you think this is to bring about a false flag alien invasion, to put people in fear, or is it to reveal the truth? What is your understanding of where this is leading us?
Well, if you understand who the elite are, they never want to reveal the higher levels of truth. Okay, so most people think they're going to create a false flag with an alien invasion using Project Bluebeam, but I think the White Hats and Alliance will stop them from doing that. I don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, as far as interdimensional beings and galactics, to me, it's the infinite classrooms that a creator has, which is the only differences between vibrational frequency, which can be, 3D, 4D, 5D. It can be parallel worlds. There's probably a ton of parallel Earths, other us's making different choices and different decisions. Dimensional beings would just be beings who don't come from a physical world or a physical dimension. So I would say dimensional beings would be more contacting us on a spiritual level, whereas some of the galactic beings are in our universe in a physical way. I think the Pleiadians have the ability to lower their frequency so we can see and touch them and all that, but not all of the galactics come from the same frequency that we're on. Some may come from a higher frequency, but they have the ability to lower their frequency. So the bottom line is related to other intelligences. The creator I know would never just say, okay, I'm just going to create the earth and nowhere else is there going to be intelligent life. That just doesn't make any sense. Plus the other thing is, and again, I saw another video today about the Anunnaki, where this one person was saying, the Anunnaki were advanced scientists. Could they be the ones who created humanity in the form that we're in now, creating clones and taking part of their own DNA? Because if you look at the clay tablets of the Sumerians, you'll see there are these very tall men with beards and everything that look like human beings, but they're very tall. So, could that be where we come from? So, and everywhere I look related to extraterrestrials, there just seems to be a tremendous amount of proof, probably mostly underground, I would say, but that they've had bases and been here for an extremely long time. This isn't a new phenomena. This is something that's been going on for a very long time. And the positive ones, of course, have to represent free will and wait until we're ready. Because, if they showed up and we weren't ready, it could cause more harm than good. And the negative ones, just work with the people they're working with for their own purposes. But I think that the positive galactics have been slowly but surely taking a lot of these negative beings off the world, plus Mother Earth, as she's going into this higher frequency of vibration, they can't stand to be here. They get burned. It doesn't work for them anymore. So I believe we'll be, members of a federation of worlds, and it's going to be great. So we're going to see in the future, we're going to have contact with galactics and dimensionals, and I just think the world of the future is going to be so much different than it is now. It's like we're going to be children. We'll be children again because we're going to be able to do whatever we want. We're going to be able to explore whatever we want. We'll have amazing travels, amazing experiences. So this is what we have to look forward to. This is what we're building for, and for the children of the future too. We're also helping for this to happen. So I don't know if
and
that
it's
answers.
A beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Hope...
I can't wait for all of this to start playing out. And we know that we're in the death throes of the old and the birthing of the new, which is so exciting. These will always be the tricky times when you're going between one age to another. And we are birthing something beautiful. And in New Zealand, a lot of people have stood tall and said no to a lot of things they don't like. And as we always say, we're first to see the light, both spiritually and physically. So I hold Kiwis to that. But obviously, collectively, we're doing this collectively. And it's a huge force to be reckoned with around the world. Absolutely.
Right. And I hear New Zealand, Australia, and Canada may become part of the United States too. So
that is a possibility.
That will be very interesting.
I think if Trump becomes a commander-in-chief, which he is already, we could come under that jurisdiction, which would be wonderful, under the republic, an independent republic.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't know how it would work. I would just assume you would become new states. So maybe we have one state for one island, one state for the other island. Keep the states in Australia, keep the provinces in Canada, and just new states. So instead of 50 states we have, it could turn into, I don't know, maybe 70 or 75. Because Canada has talk about,
I think the key is to have a devolution of government and have smaller areas governing themselves. It makes sense because you know what's needed in your area. And particularly in America, where it's so huge, all the dynamics are different in different places. And so it needs a different governance by the people. And I think this is what we will eventually get back to, and what we're all fighting for right now is our own sovereignty and self-governance.
He wanted to say hello again. Oops, he's disappearing.
Hello.
That's Portal de Luz. Okay, buddy. Yeah, I think when the United States was formed, that was the purpose. Is each state it did its own things, and they've been trying to change and people are protesting that here too.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Judith Ann.
What are the important informations you've gained either through Argus or through your skulls that are relevant for right now, Joshua?
Other than what I already said for Argus, showing me the future and knowing that we're going to a positive future, I would say that's the main message, since he can't really tell me what's going to be coming up next. As far as the crystal skulls, though, for me, they don't give me like information for the future. What I sense that they do is when I'm in their presence, they create a very positive, uplifted energy field around me, so that like when I'm writing or I'm doing work on the internet, it just makes it much easier to flow. But as far as what future role they play, there are quite a few legends that talk about a certain group of crystal skulls coming together. Some people say that number would be one main skull and 12 around it. as part of the theory, that when that happens, like I have a story that talks about this actually, which I haven't really published yet, where at the end, the 13 skulls come together, brought together by several different groups of people in a special place in Brazil that I've actually been to, which has a very, very high frequency. And I think the new capital of the earth may be, go there, it's called Alto Paraíso, High Paradise. And that's the only place I've ever been where for about 3 seconds I walked into the future and then I came back. I went, what just happened to me? So I think that this is going to become a very important part in the future.
What did you see? What was around you in that moment?
I really didn't see anything. I just felt I'm in the future. How'd I get here? And then all of a sudden I was back. So
Wow.
it just wasn't knowing. Um, so I think that the crystal skulls, um, well, they're being used now by a lot of people for meditations for world peace and for healing and all that. So I think they're basically working right now for healing of the planet and to activate people's spiritual gifts. But like you say, I think there will come a period of time or a point of time or a certain group or could be several. I don't know. We may get an idea like we had Crystal Skull World Day that we talked about doing, which we did for 2 years, where we had people come together on one special day and we created a special audio and video for it that we all did, and we had it translated into different languages. So it could be again where, maybe the Crystal Skull family would come together and do a world peace together, or that individually we might be instructed to take our skulls to certain um, very special high energetic places on the earth. Like, maybe you go to Machu Picchu, some people go there, maybe one of the pyramids in Mexico, sacred places you have in New Zealand, work with the Maori there and maybe do some sacred ceremonies that skulls will be present like Native Americans used to do that. They would have skulls. This is the legends we heard. The Mayans would do that. So there's many different possibilities how they may assist us as we're going forward. But just the healing and the activation of our gifts for right now it really helps because as more people are activated, more positive energy, more loving energy it gives out. But there are many tools that are activating people's gifts. Just crystal skulls are one of them. Even a regular crystal for certain people can be powerful. So we just each have to go with what resonates for us.
I think one of the biggest things, Joshua, I've been seeing through these last 3 years is the building of community and how people are really coming together in their soul families, working together, looking after their neighbours, seeing that everyone's okay, having deep dives and learning more about who they truly are as souls and moving forward and waking up on so many levels. People are really starting to get it. They're seeing something's wrong, nothing's right in the way that media are portraying, but knowing that there's so much more to reality that we're living in. And the paradigms are opening hugely in what we are now knowing to be our reality or our realities. How do you see this concept?
Well, what I have observed for myself is that every year I'm meeting more extended family and also sometimes people that I knew, say 20, 30 years ago when I started, all of a sudden they show up again. So I think that as people are waking up, they're recognizing that they're members of the human family and they want to start doing something to help. And a lot of times it's not just coming from a so-called purely spiritual perspective. It can be a religious perspective as well, a belief in a creator or God. And, like, for example, I was invited to participate in an event with Gene Decode but we had a little bit of a different way. There was a different way I was shown to do it, which didn't follow the procedure he wanted. But Gene Decode very much believes in Jesus and Christ and all that. And I said, and they called me non-denominational because I'm like, there was this famous folk singer in the United States who may be one of my guides. Maybe he's my guide for music. I don't know, because I play guitar. And he did. Woody Guthrie, who wrote "This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land." And when he went to the hospital, they asked him, "What religion are you?" "Oh, I'm all of them or none of them." That's how I feel. Because I think within all the religions we have is different elements of truth. Okay. Like, for example, for me, we each have the Christed being inside of us, which is the divine nature, and that there could be a person named Jesus who was able to fully actualize that. That is, he's a way shower than a follower. But then again, there was another thing I was reading which said maybe the history of how he's depicted is not totally correct. He was more known for the teachings and philosophy and not so much that, he died on the cross. That may not have necessarily happened. So this is going to be one of the challenges, is that there's a great possibility, especially linked to Tartary, that many of our religions are not the way that they seem. Like, for example, the Tartarian buildings had these kind of like crosses and symbols on their antenna. And it's thought that the cross for Christianity, they made up that religion, and Judaism, they came up with the star. So these just could have been symbols to Tartaria, which, to explain these buildings that got repurposed, they made them into religions. So the key is, the simplest truth is, we're all divine children of God. God's given us free will to live life and worship him, her, in whatever way we feel. And God told me one time, this is the only time I think I've actually heard Creator speak to me. I asked one time, I said, what impact can each of us make on Creator? We're so tiny compared to the infinite universe and dimensions and everything. And the voice said, why, your unique experiences, of course. That's what I receive from each of you. So if that's true, that means nothing we do is right or wrong. It's just our experience. Now, a way we do something may not work for us, so we may say, okay, I'm not going to do that again, or I'm going to try something different. But we have that freedom, but Creator is inside of us. Everything that exists, like David Wilcox wrote one of his books where he said a very inspirational comment. He said, nobody ever asked about the movement of particles. What is making particles move? Like they know in science and physics, atoms are moving around, these particles are in motion. And if there is no motion, then everything would be, totally still. There would be no life. So he says, what is the source that's making that motion happen? It has to be Creator, or the source field, he called it, I believe. So if you think of it that way, then, you get to experience who you are, try different things. Just trust yourself, love yourself. You make a mistake, find a new way to do something. That's all. You're not going to make everybody happy. Not everybody's going to like you. If you're a spiritual person, some people are going to go, shut up, I don't want to hear about this crap. Literally, it's against God. It's against my religion. I can't believe it. But I think Creator says, the whole point is, listen to each other, and maybe there'll be pieces somebody will say, like maybe you'll talk to a religious person and you'll say something they can relate to from their religion. Okay. So we just have to honor each other and not try to convert each other into something. Like that's what the elite are trying to convince us, that their way is the way we should live. Well, we all are beginning to realize who they're following, and it's not Creator. Okay, so that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Would you like to talk about your understanding of the new technologies coming forwards? They talk about 6,000 patents pending, which will be amazing. The med beds, replicators. What can you tell us about that? to your knowledge, Joshua?
Well, of course, I don't have access to any of these technologies. They just make sense to me when they talk about them, mostly on Telegram. I have seen pictures of the med beds, and there was a movie, I can't remember its name. It was a movie where they had like cities in space, and only the wealthy could afford to live there. And I forget the name of it, but they showed in that movie a med bed. There was a girl who was injured, and the mother put her into the med bed, and it cured her. So the med bed operates on these other frequencies of energies that are around us, which the Tartarians knew about. They used for their free energy devices. So I've seen pictures of that. So I expect that will be one of the first new technologies that will come out. Probably will be controlled by the military initially. And I keep hearing that it will be offered for free. So in other words, every disease and illness that we have is a disharmony in the body, probably was caused on purpose to some degree by you know who, by poisons and things they put into our system. But when the med beds come, they will be able to rejuvenate the body and bring back that health and balance. And they even say they have one that can regress you 30 years. So I'm definitely going to be doing that because I feel I'm 68, but I still feel like I'm 35. So that'll be fine with me. Instead of my gray hair, I'll have my black hair again and be great. And then I can do my sports again. But
That
so
would be
that's the main, right, that's the main one. Then for the new financial system, the new technology they're talking about is totally new computers, which probably I'm guessing it'll have like 3D screens. That's what I could imagine, where you just go in the air and you start doing stuff like that. We won't have mouses or anything. It'll be controlled by, now, a lot of people don't like AI, but it'll be a form of AI that'll be, done in the proper way. So you'll talk to it and it'll do the things that you want, similar to what's happening on our TVs where we say, oh, we want to watch this or whatever. And there'll be new cell phones also. And the financial system will work through both of those. Replicators like they have in Star Trek, we're supposed to have that as well. And the whole thing I read about with the replicators is it takes any matter and recreates it into a different form. So if you have garbage, throw it in there. It will resort the molecules. And if you want to have food or clothes or whatever it is. So if the new financial system comes out, if we have the med beds, if we have new computers, and we'll probably have new TVs too, again, three-dimensional, I'm assuming, and all of this, and this replicator and transport devices, teleportation, I'm sure, then what kind of world would that be? And no medicine anymore because you have the med bed. Okay. So what kind of world is that going to be? Plus, probably flying cars and flying cities, maybe. I don't know. So it's just like it's going to be paradise. Okay. In other words, the technologies will be used for what they're supposed to be used for, which is to make our life pleasant and easy. So we can focus on what do we want to do with our life? What do we want to study? What do we want to organize? What projects do we want to do? I kind of get a sensing of it because I'm semi-retired, so I get to decide like whatever I want to do. Like if there's a day that comes, I don't want to do anything, I don't have to do anything. Or like baseball is a big deal here in the United States. I have to reconnect my power cord here. Hold on a second. Is a big deal in the United States, probably like you may have certain sports like they do in Australia, I never heard of before, that people go crazy about. Then I have the, ability to set the time to watch it, especially when the championship games start coming up. Now, I read that baseball may have been, created in a way to not have some good things, and plus these people that are making great money. And I'm seeing some baseball players when they hit the best hit, they're making some signs they shouldn't be making with their hands. But for right now, it's kind of a form of entertainment, and then I can't even imagine what kind of entertainment or what kind of music will we have. So I would say that would be a key. Like if each day we would meditate, I got this message one time, if each day we meditate for 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes before we go to sleep, and we just allow our mind to visualize, what will this new world look like? Okay, you're going to get an image in your mind about it. And you do that every day. This would help to bring that paradise to our world faster, actually. Okay, because we're helping, just like the elite are emotionally trying to control people to feed off the energy so the chaos continues. If we turn it around and start visualizing and seeing this positive world and sending out this energy, and more of us start doing that, then that's going to bring that world here too. So those are
Absolutely brilliant.
right. So those, I would say, would be some of the main technologies. But what you're referring to is like 6,000 inventions for cures to heal every disease known to man. Okay, so there could be other
Yeah.
things too, supplements, and everything will be natural. And um, yeah, so that's what I see as the main ones that come out. I mean, that would be enough just to have that. And then I'm sure, other things will change, like where our water comes from. It'll be totally pure. Um, Probably they'll get it from like the Arctic or something like that. I don't know.
Or
So,
maybe out of the air, which they can do now, Joshua.
yeah,
You can actually get water out of the air, which they're trialing in Africa, which is brilliant.
right. So
As a wind-up question, Josh, and maybe if shortly we could open up for questions, would you be open to that?
Yes,
Thank you.
of course.
So
Of course.
as a wind-up chat, is there anything else you would like to say that we haven't covered that you would like to cover?
No, the main message is, it's like I had a rehearsal before we did this, okay? With my guides. I feel like I've said the main things that they were saying. It would be good if you talked about this or that. So I think I've said the most. The only thing I would say to the people watching the video is really take a look at the free ebooks. I mean, we're talking about a lot of information in there that could help, or the free videos that we have. I think I feel like no matter what you're interested in or what you're studying or whatever, one of those ebooks or one of those videos is going to be something that's going to assist you or help you or something like that. And the other thing too is Judith Ann and Karen are representatives for our center in New Zealand. So if anyone in New Zealand wants to participate, if you got a sense of where we're going, then let them know. And as soon as the new financial system starts and we start building our centers, we're going to be bringing in people to help us create the centers. And this won't be a free job. This will be paid, although money may mean nothing when this future comes, because if we all get back all the money that was stolen from us, may not matter, but you will be compensated for your time. It's going to be a job. So if you feel an affinity to do that, talk with them, and we'll see how it goes. But things could happen at any moment right now. We just don't know. So
it's a very exciting future. And
right, so,
Joshua, I'm so thrilled to have you on. I know that there are several places people can go to get in touch with you. You have a website, crystalskullexplorers.com, Facebook, joshuashapiro.sce, Twitter, SCCSE Explorer, YouTube channel, Crystal Skull Explorers video channel, and Rumble video channels.
Yep.
Now, all of these actually will be underneath this video when it comes up on YouTube. I don't know if you want to suggest any other way people can get in touch with you. I didn't mention your email address.
crystalskullexplorers@gmail.com. That's usually the best way, because I'm always looking at emails. And you just say, I saw the video, I'd like to know more about the books or whatever, but Spirit told me to make a direct link to all the free ebooks, so you don't have to come to me to get them. I have a brief description about each one. So you just see one, you click on the link, and you can download it in PDF format to expedite it. So if anybody has any
Joshua.
question they want to ask, please feel free to do so. I don't know what I know till I get asked questions.
So if anyone would like to ask a question of Joshua, please raise your hand. Hello, Francis.
Hi, Judith Ann. Thank you. Thanks, Joshua. That was really inspiring listening to you.
Good day, mate. I was in Australia in 2015 for about a month. So I got to meet all the Aussies. It was great.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you're going to have one of your centres in Australia.
We actually have a lady, what is her name? Rainbow. I can't remember her name, but we do have a friend in Australia who I met when I was there that I've stayed in touch with. So most definitely, yes, I plan to, but I can't remember which city she was in. I think it's near your capital city, which I can't recall the name of it because I didn't go there when I was in Australia.
That's Canberra.
Canberra.
ACT, yeah.
Yeah, and she was there when there was some kind of protest at the Capitol building too, and she was living like in a tent or something like that. She's a very amazing woman. So she is our representative who's holding the energy. But if you would like to become part of this and become part of our team in Australia, send me an email. I'll get you on the mailing list. And so you can be kept up to date what's going on. But most definitely Australia is going to be a very important part of the centers that we do. And I hope we can work with the original people too, that maybe one of the grandmothers can be an advisor or something like that for us. So we'll see. That's going to be the beauty of having the centers in individual cities, countries, is each country will be different because the people who will be in charge, it'll be like, we'll offer to them, all these different programs and products and services, and they can pick which ones that they think the people in their area will be interested in, and then they can develop their own too. So it'll be a big exchange. So yes, most definitely you would be very welcome to become part of our family and, give me an excuse to come back to Australia and bring Katrina,
Yes.
who I didn't know when I was in Australia. I know she would love Australia too.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
So you got to remember, I'm nothing without Katrina.
Behind every good man is a woman, so they say.
Right. Yeah, she's typical Capricorn, but she's pretty amazing. She loves the skull. She has her own special experiences. She just doesn't like to do these interviews, but she'll do one-on-one. So I'm sure she'll be in charge of a whole bunch of different activities with the center. So, and she takes amazing pictures too. So if you come to our Facebook page, she has, pictures on there. Like we went to the beach recently because we're only 30 minutes away from the Pacific Ocean here in Florida. And her family has a condominium that we get to go to because people will rent it for, during the busy times. So the last time we went, she took a picture when the sun was out and the image was split. So a lot of people think, oh no, it was just the camera, but I don't know, maybe she caught something in an instant. The idea that we're in a computer matrix, maybe she saw that. I don't know. It was interesting.
Amazing.
So did you
Joshua,
have any other...
I took a picture. I took a picture like that when I was in Egypt, and it was a picture of an inside of a courtyard, stonework, and this gentleman was walking past. And when I saw the photo, his head was moved right back from his body. And it didn't look like a camera problem. It just looked like the whole thing had split, a wee bit like you're saying.
Yeah, because cameras can catch certain phenomena we will not see. Like there were fairies or something. No, not fairies.
The orbs.
The orbs, yeah, there was a place we went to where the cameras were catching all the orbs. There was tremendous amount of orbs in this one place that we went to in Wisconsin. Francis, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask? Or was that
Actually,
it, just about the center?
no, it wasn't just about that, but would you mind reminding me of the name of that place? I think you said it was in Peru, that it's a really high vibrational place.
No, I was talking about Brazil,
Oh, Brazil.
but Peru has high vibrational places as well. It's called Alta, A-L-T-A. Of course, this is in Portuguese. And Paraíso, P-A-R-A-I-S-O, Alto Paraíso. Now, about Alto Paraíso, there looks like there is a place there where a UFO could land. They say that when a satellite goes over that place, light shines from it because there's so much crystal under the ground. And the people of Brazil say this may be where the future government of the earth will meet, because it's a very high frequency. When I was there, I didn't want to leave. It was just, it was like the meditation with the Micheledzko. It was so joyful and peaceful. I just didn't want to leave. It was very uplifting. And if I'm stepping into the future, it means that it probably has some dimensional doors in that area. Because, we have different places where we have dimensional doors on the earth. So it's called Alto Paraíso in Brazil. It's not too far from Brasilia, which is the capital of Brazil. I think it's like maybe 100, 150 miles north of there.
Right.
So.
Thanks, Joshua.
Thank you, Francis.
Thanks very much.
You.
Sure.
Hi, Kathleen, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How is everybody doing?
We're doing well. Are we able to see you?
I don't know. I did not touch the right buttons. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know who you are.
All right.
I have your number.
Your image has shown up periodically, Kathleen. It's like a guy going back and forth.
It doesn't
Not
shock
right
me.
now, but before.
Probably when we were in communication with your guides. Here's my question to you, Joshua. You spoke earlier of it would be nice if the Federation from the Galactic showed up. What makes you think they're not already here?
Oh, no, they're most definitely here. When I'm talking about showing up, I'm talking about showing up to the entire world. Where the entire world knows that they exist. Yes, that could be. There's a divine timing and when this is going to happen. I'm sure their ships are showing up in the sky. I'm sure that they're working with the White Hats and the Alliance. I'm sure some of my guides are from them as well, and I know some of them. But when I'm talking about them showing up, it's where it no longer can be denied that we have other intelligence that exists. And I'm saying that that would be a catalyst that would change our whole perception of who we are and our connection with the universe. So
in due time, right.
But we have to understand that what I think is important to them, and I think I understand this because they talked about it at the meeting that I was at, because I'm sure there were representatives from that Galactic Federation that were there too, is they have to find a way to do it where it doesn't cause fear and panic. Because we've been brought up in all our movies and everything, keep showing the extraterrestrials being evil and dark and taking over the world and everything, and that's not really who they are. So they have to find just the right way to do that, and it's going to take a genius, even on their level, to determine how that is. Or maybe they have to wait for the White Hats and Alliance to do something in the revelation of the truth before they come in, or maybe they're the ones that introduce them. Or, Vale Thor, who's supposed to be a Venetian, I've seen pictures of him, and maybe he's one of the few that's walking among us. I think the Pleiadians, they have some of their family that walks amongst us, and they can hide themselves so they just look like they're human. So there's no doubt that they're here, and they're probably preventing a lot of bad things from happening to Mother Earth too. They're doing some healing and cleansing and this kind of thing. So you're absolutely correct. They're here. But I'm talking about when they fully show themselves to everybody.
So there are many ETs, extraterrestrials, because I'm one of them, who are
Right.
already walking in human form, background
Right.
of Arcturian and Palladian, and from currently the 10th dimension to bring back some important information for these times.
Right. So, but the star people, which is what you're talking about, still had to come and incarnate in human form in order to achieve and do the things they have to do on the earth level. So it's a balancing act. But this is coming. Nothing can stop this. We're going to have this contact full out, and it's just a question of time. It's up to Creator to decide when's the right time that's going to best serve all the people in our world.
Correct.
And one other thing that may happen, which Dolores Cannon spoke about, and I've heard this theory before, is there could be where the Earth moves into the 5th dimension, and we move with that, and people still stay in the 3rd dimensional Earth, and they have to go through a lot more challenges. So I don't know how that's going to work out or not, but that's another theory that people talk about. But there was a medium that I knew in the Seattle area who said if that happens, those of us that go into 5D, we could come back, like our home's in 5D. So our job, we go into 3D, help the people down there, then we go back home. So there's a possibility something like that also might happen, because we're already accustomed to this world, and people might be a little more comfortable working with humans, even if we're in a slightly higher dimension. Like Sasquatch has to be in the higher dimension. That's why they disappear, but they still live on the Earth world. So, yep,
Right.
Kathleen, you're absolutely right on everything you said. So it's just timing right now.
Right. There are many of us already beyond the 5th dimension at a higher frequency who do go back, just like you're talking about, to assist those in 3D, 4D, 5D.
Yeah.
In order to increase that vibratory rate, that frequency.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, my friend. Lovely to hear your voice again. God bless.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Hello, Karen. How are you, darling?
Good, thank you. Just a quick question, Joshua. I'm probably a bit behind the 8 ball here. The event that you mentioned with Gene Decode, has that been?
The event no, it hasn't been, and I'm not allowed to talk about it.
No, that's fine. I just didn't know if I missed it or not. That was all.
No.
Okay.
No. There will be an announcement when it's time for it to come out, and I will be announcing it also.
Thank you.
Everywhere. So if there are other people who want to share it with people, they'll be able to do it. There'll be links, but it hasn't come out yet. They're going to announce it like only a few days before they do it.
Lovely.
So, yep.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Karen.
Does anyone else have any questions for Joshua? No, I think that's about all.
I don't have any questions. I'd just like to say thank you very much. It was very, very interesting. Thank you.
You're
you
welcome.
shed light on a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, it's what
Joshua,
I came here to do. Go ahead.
One of the things I'm looking forward to, because I'm wanting to open a centre, as some of you know, and I'm also including a library of knowledge within the centre that we'll be having. And the Centre for the Advancement of Humanity is going to be quite a big part of that, I feel. And I feel very privileged to be affiliated with Joshua, who has so much knowledge and so much understanding, and is getting as much out to the world as he possibly can So, Josh, it's going to be very exciting, isn't it, when all of these things start happening that so many people now are waiting to get into, doing what we can meanwhile, like me doing these interviews in Cosmic Cuppas. So how do you see it unfolding in that way when everyone starts to really get into gear?
Well, I'm not privileged. There are probably only a few people on the planet who are privileged to know exactly what's planned, but I think this war in Israel is a sign that this could be the last major war that we see, that some resolvement, some truths will come out of that. And like I said, the new financial system, a lot of people are saying it's very, very close. BRICS definitely is a sign. I agree with what Jean Decode said, that countries already are moving towards having precious metals back their currencies. So what it seems like to me is everything is being laid out now. Okay, even if it's not being announced publicly, it's being laid out. Like the quantum financial system's already in place. So when are they going to announce that? Some people even say that the quantum financial system is running all the finances right now, even though they haven't announced it, because when that starts running, then they can't do any illegal things. They can't start stealing money. Another clue that I think that's happening, which is shown in the Ukraine, is all the countries in the West were sending money and weapons and everything, and it didn't help the war on their side. So they don't have that anymore to send. So I think that because all these changes are happening, the funding for, call it the elite, they don't have all this funding that they used to have anymore. They're running into roadblocks and problems. So it's very difficult to say how it's all going to happen. There was a person who predicted the Israeli war that I saw a video of, who said that war, according to the Bible, he's like reading the Bible, and the Bible's doing prophecy. For him, by November, that war should be over. So, I think the key is we just have to take it day by day, hold on to our vision for the positive future that's coming. And as we meet people in our everyday life who we can talk to and give positive suggestion or information if they're open to receive it, to do that. Or, we all have people who are following similar path to ourselves. If something important comes up, just send out a quick email to everybody, say, I saw this amazing video. I think maybe this might be of interest for you guys here. Take a look at it. Like when I saw the video, like I talked about the moon so large in the sky, I said, I have to show that to as many people as see it. That's not a movie production. I believe that's real, and it's showing, the true nature of our world. It's evidence of it. So I think, just as more and more people keep doing that, more and more people keep protesting, more and more people keep saying no, people keep sharing information. It's just a question of time before it all happens. And if, like I talked with Kathleen about, the galactics decide, hey, on a big level, we're going to show ourselves to the people of the earth, then that will happen. But as they keep saying on Telegram, nothing can stop this. I think already that the White Hats and the Alliance, that God's forces, they've already won the undeclared war that people are calling in, but they have to slowly but surely, because not everybody's ready for it, just start to bring out these truths and everything. If Trump becomes president again, that definitely, I think, is going to be a sign. We'll see. Maybe he still becomes Speaker of the House. I don't know how they'll do it. Actually, what they're saying is Trump may become president for a little while, but then he'll take a different job. And they're talking about JFK Jr., who's not dead, that he would become the new president of the United States, maybe vice president, and then become president. So I don't know, but the governments will be much smaller, and it'll all work out. So we need to wait and see what happens before the end of the year, because they're calling this Red October. right now. They always call October Red October. The White House is in red colors. I've seen video of that. So that's a sign. You know, is Biden coming down there? Still have him talking about impeaching him in the House of Representatives here. So these are all signs, I think, that this positive world is coming, that these falsities that they're trying to perpetuate on people is going to be totally known. So, and then I'm hoping eventually some person will come up with some amazing event that we can all participate in together at the same time. And I think, you know, like if a majority of people on the planet, we all did a special meditation at the same time, that literally could raise the vibrational frequency. You know, it could be a catalyst that all of a sudden everybody wakes up. So, like in the story that I have where the 13 skulls come, that I haven't really published, at the end, when the 13 skulls come together, there is this beautiful rainbow light that comes out of the center of this circle of skulls, probably through the central skull in the middle, and it just totally covers the entire earth. And like I say, Israelis are fighting Arabs, and all of a sudden they start hugging each other, and that vibrational frequency comes. So we just don't know, what is it going to be that's going to be this catalytic events that all of a sudden people will start waking up. But it's our job to hold those energies right now, you know, as best we can, and not give our power away to, you know, being upset and angry all the time. You know, just do the best you can, and watch comedy movies, laugh. You know, like people have cancer, I've heard some of them watch comedy movies and they laugh. Just bring that joy. We need to have more joy in our world. So we can be the joy bringers, if you will, to our friends and our family. You know, I'm constantly telling jokes to Katrina, so serious as a Capricorn, to just waiting. Which one did I say do you really like, or whatever? Because we have to let our child inside also come out. So I do that. I do fun things for my child, you know. So it's just the best way. All right.
It's absolutely beautiful, Joshua. Thank you. And yes, it's keeping the faith. It's holding the light. It's knowing that there are the placeholders here on the planet right now, on, in, and above, doing our best to make the smoothest way forward possible. I want to thank you so much for coming on, Joshua. There are so many rabbit holes we could have gone down. We've been constricted with time as always, because there's always so much to learn from our wonderful guests. Love to have you back at some stage, and maybe even do 1 or 2 areas of focus rather than a whole gambit. But it's been absolutely wonderful today. We're learning all the time. And I think the biggest thing that we can tell our beautiful viewers is keep the faith, keep the love, keep the hope. We're nearly there. We haven't got too far to go. We're going to make it, and it's going to be amazing. So Joshua Shapiro, thank you for appearing on A Cosmic Cuppa with Jude on our 5D and Beyond platform, and affiliated with our Centre for the Advancement of Humanity. Thank you so much. God bless everyone. And good day, good night.